We have brought the finalists to TAL Apparel in Vietnam. Working in groups, they will need to transform defective garments, otherwise known as waste, into commercially viable circular sensations. So join us to explore how designers and manufacturers can work together to change fashion. Let's go.
With production now spanning the globe, TAL Group has been at the forefront of garment manufacturing innovation for over 70 years.
So TAL has a real passion about sustainability. Our mission statement is to lead change in how the world sustainably clothes itself.
First time I've been in a factory like this, and I just wasn't quite prepared for how much would actually be involved. By the time that shirt comes to actually being shipped out, it's passed through so many sets of hands, so it is a handmade product.
It's extremely important that fashion designers around the world get to understand what production processes are required to produce their visions, and it also opens their eyes to the expertise. Garment manufacturers, they have a huge amount of skill to put into the product to make it more sustainable.
TAL produces around 50 million pieces a year of garments, and 15% of the fabric that we cut ends up as cutting room waste. So we're looking at now, what can we do with that waste? How can we put that waste back into the process?
This is where designers and brands can step in. For Redress's sister brand, the R Collective, factory waste offers an opportunity.
The R Collective has been working with TAL for a number of years, and we were really challenged by the CEO of TAL, who said, why not work with a really tricky waste stream, and that is our excess defect garment stock.
You know, we're a human touch industries. We can end up with sewing faults, fabric faults. The reject garment is a result of the high standard that brands demand. And then the profitable business doesn't want to have a lot of waste because that affects the profit. So we're starting to work on models that can commercially put that waste back into the mass market.
There is waste everywhere, okay? So finding it is not a challenge, but dealing with it is a challenge.
Every one of those garments are unique. That randomness means that you have to be super creative, and there's a huge complexity in coming up with your finished article.
The truth is, it's very, very difficult to find solutions to these materials, and that's why you're all here today, because we want more solutions.
For their challenge, the finalists will work in teams of 3 to design a minimum of 1 outfit using TAL's defective shirts, upcycling them into an innovative circular creation with the R Collective customer in mind. The judges will be focusing on design value, production value, consumer value, and presentation.
Let's check first what are the defects.
There's a hole
On the sleeve.
Yeah.
Right. We got a needle cut on the half moon on the back.
The 3 of us have a very different ways of tackling the sustainable fashion, so it's gonna be really amazing to blend them and create something really nice.
Yeah, 25 minutes, we'll all meet back with our designs and we'll kind of talk through what elements we want to pull from each person.
How are you going to finish this?
We can make a stripe and then cross to type it like a crosset.
Oh, like this.
Yeah.
Right now trying to figure out some interesting ways to make the shirt adjustable and accessible for a variety of people. What are we going to do about the sleeves?
The finalists have to focus on how they can innovate on the design, the production, and the consumer experience. What I'm really looking for is something that is commercial, that can be reproduced, and that can provide a scalable solution to the shirt defects that we've seen here today in the factory.
You could almost be quite strategic about making a garment for travel.
Multifunction.
Love the idea of modularity.
At the same time, if it's too tricky, does that also add or detract from ideas?
At the start of the challenge, we just needed time to actually process what we'd been given and thinking about how we were going to tailor the outcomes to our specific design philosophies and preferred aesthetics. Rather than just getting into it and cutting things up, I'm going to actually think about it.
What if we take like this entire section apart?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we were given the challenge, the very first immediate thing we wanted to do was just get our hands in the design and look at various ways of employing the materials which was given.
as a group we decided that why not we just open the shirt and then we patch it up in a way that it's a draped dress. We're gonna add some ruched panel and it can be worn as a skirt as well.
So the first thing I'll be looking for is the saleability of the garment. It's important that it's an attractive garment that somebody wants to buy.
Instead of sewing on it, joining all the panels together, but the top we keep it simple.
Like these beautifully matched panels, almost leaving those, if we can reduce the workload of having to match up these prints, just keep these as.
The second thing that I'll be looking at is the cost. So how many operations have they used to deconstruct the rejected garment, and then the sewing content.
As the day marches on, Group C realised their mistake, that they started deconstructing the shirts before they had finalised their design.
Now we're reconsidering our whole design. We have to make it work.
Oh, it is so hard.
I feel like you could definitely combine these, but one of the parts of the brief was making it commercial. They need to complement each other, and I'm not sure if these do that.
So in this challenge, we have worked with multiple experts from TAL.
And you're still thinking about the shape of the armhole. So almost like a V shape, otherwise you will have like the bubble.
Sometimes we don't know how to achieve the ideal result that we wanted, so they are gonna help us to make it happen.
Later on we realized that maybe we should talk to the experts and get their feedback as well.
I think you can fold it, it's less work.
Okay, then we'll fold it and stitch, and we'll keep the collar as it is for the top.
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, it's gonna be a long, long night.
What have you found challenging?
When we are doing the design, we need to think about our target customers and balance that out.
Always keeping like the production part in the back of your head. But you can't go too intricate, can't do too much details.
Good, all right, well, the clock's ticking. Go for it. We'll see you later.
So far, we already sent the top to the seamstress, so they are working on it. And I'm working on the zero waste short pattern. We are a little bit stressed in the morning of day 2. We are stressed with what we have to complete within the limited time. And Pramni is working on the dress, and we need to figure out how to put the pocket on it.
I think there is gonna be a string here, so I think we need to write the sewing steps also because it's very difficult to sew this dress, it's too complicated.
I think that the questions you should work with your advisors on is what's the sewing content, and is there a way that we can make this simpler or speed it up? And that might be an adjustment that helps a lot but doesn't really change your design too dramatically.
The designers are required to complete a tech pack in which they write down the cutting sequence and sewing sequence to make sure that the technical team are following their idea exactly.
If we can figure out effectively how to use the bottom half of this sleeve once we've chopped it, that will be very close to being zero waste, if not low waste.
I just wondered if you're so desperate to go low waste that you're just using the fabric for the sake of it, would you forgo some of your utilisation for perhaps a more comfortable, flattering waist?
Are we just adding it for the sake of it?
Yeah.
On the second day, I think we really honed in on our specific skills and brought those into the final crunch where we actually had to produce the garments in the time frame.
It's all hands on deck as the designers finalise their outfits before the presentation.
In this challenge, we have used 4 garments, which are 2 white shirts and 2 plaid shirts.
We have made the silhouette very simple so that we can use into day-to-day lives.
When we're looking at consumer value, we're thinking about size inclusivity. So we've used a lot of encasings and ties out of those extra strip fabrics to make it adjustable to size.
Having in your mind how much time you need to cut and then sew in the dress.
So you can see the cuff, the collar, basically they stay like how they were. So the complicated part is more about adding the bias finishing.
When we start this project, we focus on 3 different things. The first one, absolutely sustainability, and second thing is harmony, and third thing is function.
And for the recyclability, we transform full defect shirts into a sleeveless top and a skirt and a tote bag.
So for the skirt, we didn't change the garment much at all. It's actually just 2 shirts, which of the sleeves have been used to create the pockets. So we really tried to retain the integrity of the original garments.
I love the way that you haven't hidden the fact that you've made them from shirts, so well done on that. Anything that you would do differently?
Retrospectively, we would not pull a collar off an additional shirt. We would look for other components of the garment to actually achieve the same effect.
We use 100% of the 2 shirts for this garment, and for the jacket which he is wearing was 1.5 shirts, and also the 3rd garment, which is this zero-weight skirt.
So the customer can have 2 styles when they're going out. It can be a ribbon or it can be tied in any way. Also, we consider of the defect, we add a button and also the binding on the edge.
And I'm wearing our third design. We also added some pockets on top, elongated the sleeves, and then some days you just don't want to have this cropped look and you can like just unbutton it and open it up. We want to make the outfit interchangeable.
Lots of thought has gone into various ways that you can wear that product. How are you going to communicate that to the customer?
And I think there's a very easy way is to put on the website or wherever it's sold, like a short video showing like every single way how to wear it.
Group A, I thought really strong teamwork. I thought they all worked well together. I thought they gave the best explanation how they used waste, what considerations they'd made about the garment.
For production value, I have given least marks to Group A because they had very complex designs. There were a lot of bindings going on. Team A and Team B were really close. Production value, Group B was the best one in my opinion again. The reason being less sewing.
For me, their design was strong. I loved the simplicity of their pieces, and I felt they were connected. They were also the most commercial in terms of work content.
I prefer to see aesthetically. I loved the jacket, I loved the sleeves.
They made different methods in upcycling, and I think this is interesting. But I don't like exactly the shirt because I think it's have too many details that it's too much work to do.
The outfit is a piece too complex, and I'm worried that there's too many things that would put a customer off.
Yeah.
I'm also marking that as the least commercial because it had the highest work content.
Talking about the SMVs, and that team is the highest one.
Which team?
The team C.
Yes, but this skirt was only 18, her jacket was 25.
So you should be really super proud because you each actually won in different categories. But that said, the winning team is Group B.
I feel if we can start to think about how we as designers can integrate better design solutions and how that filters into the manufacturing process, we're going to see this trickle-down effect from design into end-of-life product being a really positive outcome.